Welcome to Late Night with Larry. We're here doing it once again. I'm here with my co-host Vince. Vince, give me a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Larry D Studios, soon to be rebranded.
Cryptid Crossroads. So we have 2 more episodes, and then regardless, we are swapping over to Cryptid Crossroads. So you'll be informed of where you can contact us, which we always tell you. That email is going to be cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com. The Late Night with Larry email is going to go away. So I'm not even going to mention that anymore. So if you want to contact us, do it there, cryptidcrossroads505. And we'll be switching over pretty soon. But we're going to keep you, our faithful listeners, updated.
Right. And we're also working on a Facebook page. So
that's right.
You could get us on Facebook also. You could leave your comments, notes. You could post stuff, whatever you want.
That's right. And once again, if you want to come on live, come on and you could tell your story. If you've had a haunting, an encounter, Bigfoot sighting, we want to hear from you.
Or even if you just have a secondhand story you'd like to share.
That's right.
Now, speaking of the new email, we'd like to thank all our super fans who have emailed us.
That's right. We recently got an email from a fan that I thought was great. I emailed you back. You know who you are. And I'm not going to blast your name because I don't know if I had permission, but you know who you are. Anyway, we thank you for shooting us that email. And yes, my brother is smoking hot, and me,
he's smoking.
I guess I'm smoking. Anyway, I loved your email. Thanks. It was great.
Yep. It's good to hear from our fans.
That's right. Anyway, we're going to get started. So we're just going to talk about a couple of things tonight. We're going to start it off with my brother recently went up to the mountains, and he sent me a picture, and we just looked at it again. And I'm going to let him tell you about it.
Okay. Well,
but before we do,
we almost forgot.
I'm getting excited, jumping the gun. You know, we always got to give a toast out to you,
right. Now,
our faithful listeners.
Now, what this is a booster for the Delta variant.
That's right.
So keep yourself protected.
Well,
people.
This one protects you from the Alpha, Beta, Delta, Pi, Lambda. So
Lambda.
To you.
Oh.
Good stuff, Maynard.
Yes, sir.
And for those of you that watch us on YouTube now, we're really not alcoholics.
We're really not alcoholics.
That's just props, just like in the movies.
Right. That's actually Kool-Aid.
That's right. Kool-Aid sweetened with sugar.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead, tell them what you discovered.
So, what was it? 2 days ago, I decided to make a trip up to our usual stomping grounds and just the areas around. We're always scouting out for new possible locations. I went up there because we've been having a lot of rainfall.
Right.
So I went to check the status of the roads and just see how much mud's up there. Because now we're fancy like that, we could pull a trailer.
Ooh, big time.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the snags later. We are by no means professionals yet.
That's right. We're working on it, though.
But anyway, I went up there and I went through if you're familiar with the area, the Gilman tunnels, and I took that path, and that path was pretty good. A little bit washboard, but it's still passable even in a car. Then I went up toward Fenton and Cuba, and I went to our secret spot, as we like to call it, and the road was pretty rough. I was telling him about that off mic. It had been washed out even more. It was rough to begin with, but now with the rains, it's washed out even more. I mean, I had to creep it in my 4-wheel drive truck. So
wow,
we'll see when we go up there.
Yeah,
but anyway, I went. We have a location that we like, and it's really off the beaten path. So I went there. I parked. I got out. I scouted around. I went up the hill a little bit. There's a game trail that goes up the hill. Looking around. There's some new tree breaks. It's hard to tell how old they are because last time I didn't really go up the hill that far. But when I came down the hill, I saw something very interesting. It looked like a trail of footprints coming down the little hill by where we camp. Now, they're obscured because of all the rainfall, the mud and a lot of grass or weed growth. But there was one in particular that stood out to me. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of detail as far as toes and stuff, but I took a picture of it and I put it on our Facebook page. It's got my foot next to it. Now, I wear a 10.5, 11 size sneaker, so that'll give you an idea how big that print is. And the thing that caught me is I'm barely leaving my sneaker prints on the ground, and this thing was sunk down almost an inch.
Right. It had some depth to it. And if you look at this picture, once he posts it, get on our Facebook page and check it out. It's a definite footprint, and you'll be able to see it. It's defined. I just wish that so much grass wasn't there to get the print, and it was a little bit muddier. I think the print would have been better.
Right. It was definitely sunk in, and a lot of people might think, it could be a boot print or something, but I don't know. Look, it's almost twice as wide as my foot.
Well, if that's a boot print, who was up there walking around? Andre the Giant? Or wait, he's dead. The Big Show?
Right. Now, but the thing is, I don't think they could even make it that deep.
No, they don't have the way to do it. And now we know these creatures weigh anywhere from, supposedly the theory is, anywhere from 800 pounds to 1,200 pounds, depending on the height and their grit.
Right. The Bigfoot scale it starts around 400
Right.
and goes all the way to mother-in-law.
That's right. And you know mother-in-law's pretty big.
No, that's a bad joke. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, for those of you who are divorced, it's not.
Right. Take it as you will.
That's right. Even those of you who are married, that may not be a bad joke.
Just don't tell it at the Thanksgiving dinner table.
That's right.
At least until after you eat.
That's right. Anyway, when you sent me that picture, I looked at it and I was like, oh, man, damn. It's defined, and I just wish that we could find more because of the area, the grass. It's always hard when there's grass, but I've always heard theories that you'll find prints and then they just disappear as well.
Right.
I don't know if these creatures have remember on the Flintstones when he would tippy-toe to Bull and left no print. But I've heard that they know the forest so well that they know where to step not to leave their prints. They can't avoid all of it, so they do got to leave some prints, but once they're in the thick forest, it's almost impossible to track them.
Right. Now, thinking back to my very first encounter, that brings up an interesting point, because when the male was walking off, I could hear him walking through the brush.
Right.
Now, was he walking through the brush so he's not leaving tracks?
Well, if these creatures are intelligent as people say they are, and we think they are, they're going to know how to cover it. They'll cover their tracks any way they can because they have some type of intelligence, just like humans. I mean, when we were being back, I didn't know. I don't live there, but I'm just saying the things I've heard. Like, if you were being hunted by the sheriff and you were an outlaw, you knew to take brush and wipe your horse and your tracks so that you wouldn't get caught. So I'm saying if we know how to do that, and these creatures are just as smart as us, if not smarter, people say.
Right.
They know how to do it. Just because they don't have the same tools we do doesn't mean they're not as intelligent as we are.
You would think that they are hunters and they know how to find their prey by the tracks.
That's right.
So that's one reason they don't want to leave tracks.
And I believe it because you hear the stories of people that have shot at them and hunted them, and if here's my thing. They're always in survival mode. So covering your tracks is one of your biggest priorities.
Right, exactly.
So I think they do know how to cover their tracks.
But all in all, it was a good trip for me going up there. There was other tracks, but like I said, with the weeds, the grass, and the mud, there just wasn't enough definition.
Right.
So, and like I said, I put it up on our Facebook page. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, this is 100% a Bigfoot track.
Right.
I took a picture because it had possibility and it looked suspicious and it was big. So, I mean, you look at it and you decide for yourself. Maybe some of you know more about tracks than we do, and you could say, oh, that's a grizzly bear with his claws pulled out or something.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say. If you were going to say it's a bear track, I'm going to say they always leave their claw print.
Right.
And as we were talking off air, that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping to see more of the footprints imprinted, but there's no claw mark, so I know this ain't a bear.
Right.
And like he said, I want you to have a look at it and you decide for yourself. Like we said, we're just here presenting it. That's what we're all about. We're not trying to convince you. You decide for yourself.
Right. And I'm pretty excited about the Facebook page because this allows us to share more with you.
That's right.
Now, I got a few pictures. We're looking at, we're talking about Nephilim off the mic. And
Right.
I got some interesting pictures I got from another site that they were taken in Nevada.
That's right.
So, and I'm going to post those it's the first chance I get. And,
Right.
you want to chime in, say what you think.
Yeah,
Those are authentic.
That's right. We always welcome your comments. But and any of you that do not know what Nephilim are, I suggest you do a little bit of research. And that phrase comes from the Bible, the Christian Bible. It's not a made-up phrase. It comes from the Christian Bible. And I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm not a preacher man, but I want you to do your homework on what a Nephilim is, and then you could tell us what you think, because this skull has the characteristics of what Nephilim are supposed to be,
Right.
Which is double rows of teeth. They're big,
And
giants of renown.
Right. Yeah, and it does mention giants in the Bible. Now, getting back to the Bigfoot, a lot of people think that it could be Nephilim, or it's not, but it may be along the same line, because Nephilim had a trait that we no longer see, the
6 fingers.
6 digits. Yeah.
6 fingers. And I know we talked about it, and we're going way back to when we first started podcasting, and we talked about Nephilim. But Nephilim had the 6 fingers, and the tribes would always say, you see in the movies how when the tribal members come up and they hold their hand up and say, how? They wanted you to hold your hand up so that they could count your fingers. If you had 5, they knew that you were of the human race.
Right.
If you had 6, then the intentions were bad. And they were constantly, from what history says and some of the native elders say, they were constantly at battle with the Nephilim, because the Nephilim were cannibals. They were going to eat you and your family.
Right.
So that's why they would always say how and raise their hand.
Right. But definitely giants. Now, I was watching before I came over. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Monster Quest,
Right.
but they have one where they're trying to either prove or that it's real or a hoax, the Patterson-Gimlin film. And they had all their experts. They went back to Bluff Creek. Is that where it is?
Bluff Creek, yep.
And they were talking about, some of the scientists say, we don't acknowledge it because we don't have enough proof. Now, the particular cryptozoologist, or is that what they are?
They're zoologists.
Yeah, he said, now I'm not closing the door on this because it's possible, but I got to use my scientific side and say, as long as there's no solid proof, I can't accept it.
Well,
he said, now we've had creatures that have been this size, and he pointed out Gigantopithecus.
Right.
He had a skull. He said, but according to the fossil record, they died out hundreds of thousands of years ago.
According to the fossil record, several things have died out, but yet we still stumble across 1 or 2 that exist. Here's my thing to science. I get science, and I'm all for science, and I don't think science should be dismissed because it does serve its purpose. But in instances where it comes to cryptids and paranormal, that's why they're cryptids. They're hidden. Science isn't always correct.
Right.
They want to reference the fossil record or whatnot. There's so many things that have happened that science cannot explain, but yet they want to blow it off. So until we can get solid evidence, they shouldn't blow it off. I think they should really take it. If they're true scientists, they'll probably get ridiculed and lose their job, is what they say. But if they're real scientists, they should want to delve deep into this subject and see if it is true. That's what true scientists do. They just don't blow it off. When smallpox and polio came out, did they just blow that off? No. They wanted to find out what it was and how we could solve it. Right. I think they should approach this the same way. Say, well, if there's thousands of sightings thousands of people every year see this creature. Is there a grain of truth to this? So let's take the scientific approach and scour the land until we either find one or say we've scoured every inch of this earth and we can't find one.
But unfortunately, that's not how all science works. And you know as well as I do that, especially like in the paranormal or cryptid department, if they can't explain it, it can't exist. It can't be true.
I'm going on a ledge here, and I don't care. I'll jump off because I'm going to say science today is lazy. When they wanted to, here's my point. When they wanted to find the panda bear, they spent 60 years combing those Asian jungles, and bingo, one day they came across the panda bear, which was just a legend. They thought the Chinese are talking about this is a legend. And one explorer spent his whole life, took 60 years. But guess what? Now you go to almost any zoo and you see a panda.
Right. And just like, was it the mountain gorillas?
Mountain gorillas.
They were only discovered like 100 years ago.
Them two were mythical creatures for how many years?
Right.
And then expeditions, constant. Now we know they truly exist. I'm just saying true scientists should take this approach. Ask Bob Bigelow to fund you because he has all the money.
Or Deuce Bigelow.
Right. I prefer Deuce Bigelow. I think he'll find them quicker.
But I think as far as like the Bigfoot or Sasquatch, we're dealing with a whole different creature than a panda bear or a gorilla.
I thought you were going to say hebba. That's all, folks.
Yeah, I was going to.
No,
but we're dealing something with real intelligence.
Well, that's why I say that's why it's so elusive, because it has intelligence, and everyone that's encountered them can tell you that they've seen or observed how they act. For instance, forest rangers have seen how they hunt, and they have intelligence. They do know what they're doing. That's why they stay hidden. And like I said, they're constantly in survival mode. And let's face it, they know the forest and they blend in like butter. And we talked about how their hair reflects the light to possibly camouflage them.
Camouflage them. There's always the theory that they have hidden abilities, like a fiber optic, like their hair,
right?
Like those ghillie suits they're building, where you actually see what's in back of you.
That's right. I mean, look, if we have the technology, and here's my thing, most of science has been replicated from nature. We look at how nature does things, and then we turn it into. We basically weaponize it.
Right.
And if they have that capability, they naturally have it. I'm sure our government would love to get their hands on it. And I've heard our government knows that they exist. So maybe like during the Mount Everest volcano and some of the other catastrophes up in Washington that have happened, Mount St. Helens, that when I've heard stories, I don't know if it's true, but I'm just theorizing again. When they found these creatures, and I've heard stories that they found many of them, the government snatched them up right away. Could it be because they know that they possess these capabilities, these cloaking capabilities, and they want to replicate it for warfare?
That's usually the government's intent.
Right? Oh, damn our government.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good thing to try to weaponize everything, but a lot of the best inventions have come from military funding.
It is. Now let's take this back a step, because we're talking about the Nephilim and how they have the 6 digits, 6 fingers, 6 toes. I was watching a recent on Discovery Plus. It was a documentary. It's one of the newest ones. I suggest you watch it.
Okay.
And they're talking about the Roswell crash. Well, they're saying in this Roswell UFO that the dashboard where they put their fingers to control the aircraft, it had 6 fingers, 4 fingers, 1 thumb. And right away when I heard that, I was
5 fingers.
No, 6. Yeah. They called it
5
6 fingers.
1 thumb.
Yeah. Well, they said it had 6 fingers.
Right, but you said 4 fingers.
Oh, well, I'm thinking of a bag of weed. No, you didn't hear that. No.
He is smoking.
See, that I am smoking. That's why the same for kids. And if you're my employer, This is just for the show.
That was a joke. It's a prop.
Joke, man. But anyway, they did find that the dashboard had 6 digits to operate it. As soon as I heard that, I immediately said Nephilim.
Right. That's I thought the same thing too, but you hear the stories about the bodies they recovered,
Right.
and it don't jive with the size of the Nephilim.
Well, it doesn't, but here's the thing. Just because the Nephilim on earth were giants doesn't mean the Nephilim that came down from the heavens weren't.
True.
So I take it with an open mind. But when they said in this craft where they placed their hands were 6 digits, that was my immediate thought. I was like, so let's look at these alien autopsies a little closer.
Right.
Show us the hand, show us the feet. If there's 6 digits, then I'm going to say it's genuine.
Yeah.
Not
And you
a
know what?
hoax.
Come to think of it, I'm gonna look up and see if I could find some of those alien autopsy tapes. I mean, who knows if they're genuine or not? But I'm gonna pay attention to the hands and the feet.
So am I. Because I heard this, I'm going to pay strict attention to that. If I see 3 fingers, or I'm going to be like this, well, I'm not going to dismiss it, but I'm going to be like, well, the craft that crashed in Roswell definitely had 6 digits to control it. So my thought was automatically Nephilim. Now, I'm not trying to get off the Bigfoot subject, but we went there and we went on this rabbit hole.
Right.
And that just made me think, since we're talking Nephilim, 6 digits, there it is.
Right.
But once again, we invite you to watch these documentaries, and you could call them bullshit or whatnot, or decide for yourself. But if any of you out there are Bible-believing Christians, so to say, your Bible doesn't lie, so there were Nephilim on this earth.
Right. Now, getting back to the 6 digits, and a lot of people tie Nephilim in with Bigfoot. You know, they think they may be the same thing. But,
Right.
But let's go back to that show we watched, Expedition Bigfoot.
Right.
Now, when they found, remember that fossilized handprint?
Right.
Now, they thought it was a Bigfoot handprint, correct?
Correct.
But when they looked at it more closely, it had 6 digits.
Right. So there you go.
Now, we know Bigfoot usually don't have 6 toes, but how many handprints, clear handprints have? I haven't seen many.
No, we haven't seen many, and that's a good point, because if we look at the Bigfoot, the footprints, some of them they say they think due to inbreeding they'll have 3 or 4 toe print, but a lot of them do have like human being 5 print, and that's why I think no, these can't be Nephilim, because they have 5 digits on their toe prints. A majority of the casts that are done have 5.
Right.
But I think if this tribe is nomadic and they're in the high mountains, of course they're going to inbreed if they can't find other little groups of Sasquatches up there.
Okay, now how about this? They started as a Nephilim, and we've heard stories about them taking women, and we hear Sasquatch has human DNA, so maybe that's where the 5 toes come
Well,
from.
that could be a theory we can't dismiss either.
Right.
But from what I understand, if when the Nephilim bred with humans, they created like giants, what we're saying. And I would think that their DNA is going to override the human DNA. So that's why the 6 digits came in. And that's why the natives were like, show us your hand. Because
Right.
we know that they bred with humans. That's why they stood on this earth.
Right, but my point is, if they bred once, of course, maybe the Nephilim DNA, but if they kept breeding with humans over time.
You're talking about what if we have that outlier, what changes the DNA.
Right.
Yeah, and it's possible. And I'm not throwing it out the window. That's something else we have to consider. And if you want to think about it, there it is. Do your research, and then you're going to be just as confused as we are, and you're going to want to know the truth like we do.
And that's why we got to get on board with these breeding programs.
That's right.
To observe. To observe.
To observe. Well, I don't know. They call that porn.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you later. But no, so I mean, if we're not making sense, let us know. But we're just taking you down the rabbit hole that we've been down.
Right.
We're going down. So I really think that these creatures that live in the forest, they're the masters of the forest. They are aware of footprints. They have intelligence just like we do. Just because they don't hold a tablet and stare at it, I think for that reason they're smarter than us.
I think they have the intelligence that we lost, the kind of intelligence.
That's right. Now, I don't want to sound like the biblical preacher, but there's, and if you're interested, I'll give you the name, but there was a philosopher, not a philosopher. He was locked up by the Chinese, and he was a deep-seated Christian. And he has the theory, and he says it's not a theory, that we used to be able to communicate with the animals telepathically because that's how strong our minds were. And as we gain technology, we let technology think for us, and we lose that ability. And if you read his books, he makes total sense. He was persecuted for being a Christian, and his name's Watchman Nee. Read his books. He's going to blow your mind. It's some really deep thinking, deep reading, but he's going to make you think about it. And that's why he said, when the snake talked to Eve in the garden, that's why,
Right.
because we had that ability. We have devolved and lost it since then.
That's what I was going to say, because people claim that Sasquatch can communicate telepathically.
That's where I was going.
And that's one of the things that we've lost along the way.
That's where I was going. And some people, and the people that they have communicated with telepathically, chokeweed.
Wait,
Yes.
he's talking.
Wait,
No,
he's talking to me now. That type of ability, that's why they select certain people they reveal themselves to telepathically, because those people were born in tune with what we have lost.
right.
Now, if you think we're out there, let us know. You could do that at cryptidcrossroads505gmail.com. Anyway, yeah, so these are just things we want to talk about tonight. Throw them out there. I know a lot of you may think we're full of shit and we're just bullshitting, but this is what we get from our research.
Right.
And that's why we go out to these woods and we want to find that creature. We want it to sit down with us, and we want it to have a shot, a few drinks, and then we want to say, so hold on, let me get my pen and pad, or better yet, my recorder. Better yet, let's do a podcast.
Right.
Tell us what's really going on.
Yeah. And, we go out there, we're searching for the truth, and we want to know what's really happening. If I could get one of them to communicate with me telepathically, that would blow my mind.
It would blow my mind too. But, they say the people that do that they're really in tune with nature and whatnot. So maybe you just need to run around the forest naked for about a week.
I do.
All right, and then maybe you'll have a female one telepathically communicate to you and say, "You baby."
Maybe that's what she meant.
Yeah, no, she would definitely tell me, you newborn. We're just kidding, people. You got to have some fun while you do this.
Yep. Younger cherries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to talk about younger cherry now?
Well, that's another podcast.
Yeah, there you go. That's our second podcast. So stay tuned. We'll tell you about that. Anyway, these are things we want to throw out to you. We encourage you to reach out to us because we don't want to seem like we're the crazy ones.
Right.
We want to know what you think. So really reach out to us. But those are our theories. Based on our research, that's what we come up with.
Right. And that's what we think about when we're out there in the middle of God's country and we hear these noises we can't explain, and things come hurling down the mountain at us.
And we've told you, people, all the crazy things that have happened out there, and we're the only ones out there. My wife thinks I'm kind of crazy, but how else do we explain it?
But yet she won't step foot out there to see for herself.
She won't. She's like, no way, no how. Neither will our sister.
Nope.
Some people are just afraid of the forest.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I'm afraid. I definitely respect it.
Oh, you got to respect it because it'll take your life in a minute. But on the same hand, go out there and enjoy it and maybe you'll have an encounter.
Right. And it's funny because usually you have your encounter when you least expect it. It's just like falling in love.
Well, that's yes, and that's why we're here today, because he had his encounter when he least expected it, and this whole podcast stemmed from that one encounter.
Yes.
So today we are on a quest to know the truth. We are the William Shatners of today. We want to go far and beyond space.
Right.
That's right.
I just want to go into the forest and
That's what I'm saying. We want to go into the forest and we want to find out the truth. And if you want to come with us, come on.
we're waiting.
That's right. Anyway, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy what we brought to you tonight, and you know how to get in touch with us.
Yeah, reach out to us. Let us know what you think. If you enjoy the content, if you think we're nuts.
That's right. So we want to hear from you, and we always appreciate your comments, your emails, everything.
And by the way, if you do think we're nuts, you're welcome to come with us.
That's right. We want to prove you different. Anyway, thanks for listening. Peace.
Thank you. Peace out. Be good humans.